I met my wife, we'll call her Sue, in college. We were both 18 at the time. We hit it off as soon as we went on our first date, and were spewing "I love you" within weeks of us dating. She kind of pursued me, but I was glad as hell that she did. We shared our deepest insecurities and secrets with each other, and when her dad passed away in her senior year of college, I was there for her through the whole ordeal. Her father had pancreatic cancer, and when he was hospitalized, I'd spend nights at the hospital with her so she wouldn't be alone. We got through it, and that point in time strengthened our bond. She told me she didn't know what she would have done if I hadn't been there for her. She called me her soulmate. I knew I was going to marry this girl, and sure enough, I popped the question about 2 years after we graduated. At that point in time, life couldn't get any better for me. I married the girl of my dreams, had a well-paying job immediately after graduating, and both our families loved us. My best friend, we'll call him Dave, and I had what I could only describe as an unbreakable brotherly bond, or so I thought. We had known each other since 3rd grade, and he was the brother I never had. He was also married, and moved away with his wife because she had landed a lucrative job at a big law firm. About a year ago, his wife died in a car crash, and this broke him. He moved back to our hometown after, but he was never the same. I tried to be there for him, but he wouldn't engage with anyone. No one understood the pain he was going through, so I asked my wife if she could talk to him, seeing as she had also lost a loved one, and that maybe Dave could relate better with someone who went through something similar. Yes, I know now that this was a huge mistake. We'd pay him visits daily. She would spend hours on end at his place even without me there. They were going on hikes together, watching movies and not inviting me, grabbing lunch, all things couples do. Now, obviously, this was far more interaction than I had intended for them to have, and it did make me uncomfortable, but Dave was doing much better from it. It's important to say that Dave and Sue never liked each other before all this happened. This is because Sue always thought he was a douche. Before he married his wife, Dave was bouncing from relationship to relationship, and even after he got with his deceased wife, he constantly cheated on her. As a result, Sue had a particular dislike for him, and always questioned how I could be friends with someone with such low morals. This disdain for Dave is also what made me oblivious to what was to come. As I mentioned, Sue and Dave became inseparable, to the point where she would invite him into things I had planned for us as a couple. Moreover, she started portraying characteristics of what I now know to be classic cheater behavior, always on her phone, becoming increasingly distant, little to no intimacy, and coming home very late. At this point, it was all too suspicious, and one day she was texting and I asked who she was talking to. She said it was one of her girlfriends, and when I asked to see what they were saying, she became very irritated and called me possessive. When I talked to Dave about how uncomfortable their friendship was making me, he assured me nothing was up and even accused me of not trusting him and my own wife. I was getting gaslit. This continued until one day Sue went out again. She said she was going to her sister's for the weekend because she needed some space from me because I was driving her crazy with my accusations. I was still very suspicious and called her sister to confirm if she was indeed expecting Sue to visit. She confirmed that she was, but that Sue had not yet arrived. Mind you, she had left around 3 p.m., and her sister's place is about 4 hours away from where we live. It was now 10 p.m. Something in the back of my head told me to go to my friend's house, so I did. Sure enough, my wife's car is parked a couple of feet away from my friend's house. At this point, it was clear as day as to what was going on, and I hate to admit it, but I cried hard. After a few minutes, I decided to go in and see if this is really what was happening. I went in through the back door, which I knew would be open. I quietly made my way in, and I could hear my wife moaning. I was shaking. When I made it to the door of his bedroom, I could see through the creak. My wife bent over on his nightstand. I'll never get that image out of my head. I'm literally crying as I'm writing this down. I pushed the door wide open and they both froze, staring at me. It took every ounce of my being not to beat the living hell out of Dave. I just walked away and got into my car. I could hear them scrambling and my wife started screaming at me to stop and that she can explain. I didn't want to look at her. I don't know what I would have done, so I just drove away. I cried the entire drive home and they were both spamming me with calls. I went to one of my college friends and have been there the past week or so. I can't eat, I can't sleep, and I can think of anything else. I informed my work of what was going on, and they were kind enough to give me time off. I've been getting phone calls from both Dave and Sue, as well as both our families. I let my family know I was all right and would be back soon, but I haven't responded to anyone else ever since. These hurt so bad. I want to die. I want to be gone from this world, but I'm too much of a coward to do it myself. I'm trying to be strong, but my resolve is wavering. How can someone you loved so selflessly do this? I don't know what to do. How do I deal with this? Please help me. Now for the top comments. Please move on. There is someone that will love you for the rest of your life. Don't look back, look forward. What's done is done and cannot be fixed. Neither of them is worth your time. It hurts so much to be betrayed by both people that meant so much to you. They are both weak people that attracted each other by their pain. Take care. Wishing you all the best. Now for the update. When I looked back on the marriage, most of it was filled with little else but happy memories, which is why I was trying so hard to find a reason to stay. However, when I started thinking about her cheating, how she and Dave gaslit me and made me question my sanity, the only thing I felt was rage. The deeper I looked, the angrier I got. I will never forget how angry Sue would get when I questioned her on where she'd been when she came home late, or the disgusted look Dave gave me when I asked him man to man if there was anything going on between him and my wife. The cheating was bad enough, and even worse was that it was with my best friend. But the gaslighting? I will never get over it. Fair enough, I was played like the fool I was, but it takes a special kind of person to lie so effortlessly, and so well. I don't know how they were able to flip the switch like that. I remember one night when she came home late, about 2 days before I found out. She was telling me how much she loved me, and how horny she was when she was driving home thinking about me. Now I am almost certain she had come home from Dave's because she wasn't wearing any panties. She had sex with both of us back to back. I freaking kissed her. This whole situation made me feel like a wimp. How could I have let them walk all over me like that? I feel so emasculated. The more I reflected, the more I got the urge to head over to Dave's, but I couldn't. There is no justice for me, not with our justice system. They get to torment me, assault me mentally, but if I retaliate, I'm the one who gets put in jail for who knows how long. I spoke with my lawyer about this and she urged me not to do anything stupid. Not only would I go to jail, but I would jeopardize my chances in the divorce proceedings. She suggested I see a therapist, but I don't want to. I don't see the need. I was still getting spammed with emails from Sue and they were just making me angrier. She was still spewing the same nonsense as before and how miserable her life would be without me. She even had the nerve to send me Bible verses on forgiveness. If I mattered that much, why do it? I started going to work again because I wanted to be busy. Being distracted has really helped me cope better, and I don't drink as much as I was at the beginning. One day while at work, I received a letter from Sue. I wanted to just throw it away, but decided to read it. In it, she talked about her individual counseling and how it helped her discover some underlying issues she was having with herself, the biggest of all being her low self-esteem. She explained that the discrepancy in our attractiveness made her very self-aware, and that deep down she wanted to feel desired by someone other than me. According to her, her sister has always been much prettier than her, and this contributed to her low self-esteem. She said that even though she knew I was attracted to her, and that I made her feel beautiful, she sorts that validation from someone else. She apologized again, and said it wasn't an excuse, but that she was simply looking for a way to make sure it never happens again, if should I decide to give her another chance. She then proceeded to ask if we could try marriage counseling to work things out. I still didn't respond to anything she or her family sent me at this point, so I just ignored it. Anyway, I started the divorce proceedings, and the first order of business was splitting our finances, and unfortunately, I couldn't untangle myself from her without her consent. We each have separate accounts as well as a joint savings account, and unfortunately, I can't take what I'm entitled to from it without her, even though I make significantly more than she does and have contributed the most to the money in that account. I'll probably have to split it with her 50-50. So, I just proceeded with filing the divorce papers. She was served a few weeks ago, and then the shit show started. The very day she was served, she showed up at my apartment with the divorce petition in her hands. I don't know how she found out where I was. We just stared at each other for what felt like forever, and all the pain from that night came back. All the emotions I felt returned with renewed vigor. I almost teared up again, but I didn't. She looked like she had been crying and she rushed towards me and tried to give me a hug. I gently pushed her away, and this somehow made her hysterical. She started shouting, asking why I was giving up on us so easily, and if we could just talk it out. At this point, I figured I just wanted to get away from her. Looking at her gave me a wave of different emotions, so I wanted to get away before I did or said anything I would regret. I tried going back to my car, and she threw herself on the top of the hood. I asked her what she wanted, and she said she just wanted to talk things through, that we couldn't end our marriage in such a manner without at least clearing the air. I relented because she was clearly not taking no for an answer, and was making a scene. We got into my apartment, and I just sat down and listened to what she had to say. Again, she said she would do anything to save our marriage, that she doesn't love Dave, that she's sorry. She said she did some research on how we can move forward, and suggested a trial separation. In this separation, she said I could date whoever I wanted, but that I should hold off on the divorce, and at the very least give her the chance to mend our friendship, and then our relationship as husband and wife. She suggested a lot of other crazy stuff like a one-sided open marriage in my favor, tried showing me stories of other couples who have survived infidelity, and even suggested that we should just move to a different state or even a different country, just the two of us. That part kind of hurt me because we had spoken about moving and starting our family not too long before all this shit happened. When she was done, we just sat there in silence, again just staring at each other. And then I asked her why. Why him? Why cheat on me with him, and then come back only after I caught her? She started sobbing really hard when I asked these questions. She said she felt really guilty even during the acts, but that she didn't know how to stop, that she was so deep in the affair that he didn't think of the consequences and what she was going to lose. She said that the counseling made her realize that she probably would have cheated on me at some point, if not with Dave, then with someone else. This was supposedly because of the same underlying issues that she was unaware of. I asked her if she loved Dave, and she promised me she didn't love him, that they haven't spoken since I left, and that she doesn't even know where he is now, that she loved only me and would do anything to make up for what she has done to us. I asked her if she had ever cheated on me before all of this, and she swore on her dead father that this was the first and last time. I asked her who else knew about her and Dave. She hesitated and said only her sister, but that she only knew about it a few days before I found out, and that she implored her to end it and come clean to me. I also asked her why she was begging, why she didn't just leave to be with Dave. I asked her if she was only doing this because she felt like it was the right thing to do, and not because she actually wanted to be with me. She answered saying that she was doing it because she loves me, and because she knows she made some horrible choices. We talked for a long time. A lot of crying on her end, but not for me. I had cried enough when I first found out, and didn't have any more tears to shed over this. Then I asked her if there was anything else she wanted to tell me, if there was anything else she was keeping secret. She started sobbing again and asked me not to get angry. I got really nervous when she said that. She started crying for a bit before I urged her to just say it because she was making me uneasy. Then it came out. She said she found out she was pregnant not long after I had left, and that she got an abortion because she wasn't sure who the father was. She said she thought if it turned out to be Dave's, there would be no room for reconciliation, and she felt she had to do it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was in shock, and she started begging even more not to let this be the end of our relationship. I just went numb. I asked her to leave and she begged me to stay, that we still needed to talk. All this begging was simply infuriating, coupled with the news I just heard. I asked her how far along she was when she found out she was pregnant and she said a few weeks. Then it hit me. Wait, you said in an email that you only started having sex with Dave about a week before I found out. Was that a lie? She nodded. She freaking nodded. She explained that she only said that because she didn't want to hurt me with the details and was trying to minimize it. She confessed that it was physical for less than a month. She tried to console me, but I pushed her away. I asked her to leave and never come back. She tried saying something, but I just started yelling at her to leave. She asked if we could talk again once I've processed everything, and I refused. I told her I had found a job in another state and would be moving as soon as the divorce was on the way in our state. There is a 2-month cool-off period after you file. I had already planned on doing this and was just finalizing everything before I resigned from my current job. I had already given my boss a notice at that point. When she heard this, it was more of the same cry and pleading like before. I told her to leave or I would call the police. She reluctantly left, and I just lay on the floor wondering where I went wrong. How did my marriage get to this point in such a short period of time? I just couldn't understand it. I was somewhat sure of the divorce before, but after she and I spoke, I was now sure of my decision than ever before. I ignored all efforts on Sue's end for contact again. However, a few days ago, this was on Thursday, I received a phone call from my mom that Sue was in the hospital. Apparently, she was hospitalized for a drug overdose. This all felt like a nightmare. I still don't know how to process all of this. Why is all of this happening? I visited Sue in the hospital and she seemed to be okay, but she was checked into a psych ward. That's where things are at now. I still have no idea why she would do this, and the time I visited her, she was asleep. It hurts because I still love her, and right now, I'm just happy she's okay. I haven't been thinking of the divorce given what's going on right now. How do I even proceed? There's probably a lot of important details I'm leaving out, but adding them will just make this unbearably long. I just need suggestions on what I should do. Now for the top comments. I feel she overdosed intentionally to get your attention. Proceed with the divorce and go for counseling for your own well-being. Don't allow anyone to guilt trip you about forgiveness. Focus on cutting ties and healing. Wish you all the best. Continue with the divorce. You'll never be able to trust her. You'll never receive anything but pain from her. You didn't do this, she did. Move on. Save your life and find someone that will love you how you deserve. Good luck and God bless. Experience. Continue with your plans. Do not change anything and do not try to help her get better. Only see her when lawyers are present. If she has things at the house she needs to get, have someone else there. You find something else to do at that time. I promise you she will try to guilt you into taking her back. Her actions are not your responsibility. You did not cause her to do anything. She made a bad decision, affair, and she thinks making more poor decisions will bring you back to rescue her. Don't let it. Continue with the divorce, start your new job, and go no contact with her. You will never be able to trust her again. What happens the next time she feels insecure? Will she cheat again to make herself feel better? She has mental issues she needs to work on. Don't let anyone guilt you into staying. You're on the right path by divorcing her. What she and your best mate did was totally unforgivable. They both lied directly to your face, and she deliberately made you her cuckold. No amount of marriage guidance can see you through this nightmare. Trying to offer her own low self-esteem as the cause of the infidelity is laughable. Also, now having the knowledge that she could have murdered your unborn child is another no thanks to any reconciliation, although the odds are it was your mate's. Stay strong. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to today's story. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.